Okay, so our first question is, do you have any specific experiences in GCPL that changed how you practice as a nurse? If anyone has their original thoughts, and then we can like open up for discussion.
My we had already talked about Cuba. So when we were there, we had an opportunity to talk to a director of a clinic, and he described their whole practice being centered on primary care. I'm so sorry about my phone. They had a primary care doctor placed in every community with a nurse. And if I remember correctly, they said that they even provided them housing in the same house. So they just always kept primary care at the center of their healthcare system. And Cuba is known for having a very good healthcare system. So I've always had an emphasis not to overlook those simple things that are part of your primary healthcare, your diet, your exercise, your sleep. And particularly in psychiatry, those things are important. And I think almost every day about if I'll go back to school, and I don't have that answer yet, but I am interested in perhaps doing like an integrative focus or functional medicine focus because of that experience I had in Cuba.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean the international travel I think is always the thing that I feel like, because I mean it's cultural experience, so that's definitely for me like my experience. I went to both Iceland and South Korea, and I feel like
Hmm.
those experiences have both helped shape how I practice as a nurse, because you just get to know a different background, a different culture, and it just helps you realize that when you do practice in America and you practice on these patients that are from different ethnic backgrounds, that when they
Mm.
go to their country, it's very normal what they believe and what their practices are. As abnormal as it may seem for Americans, because we're just not used to it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not very essential to their life. And so I think I really like do emphasize cultural background and like comfort measures.
Hmm.
And mine goes right along in with that. Cultural competence comes to mind when we talk about our international trips with the GCPL there. Going to Mexico specifically, not Panama, but I remember sitting around a table and they asked us a very specific question just about how we think of Mexicans, and of course, things came up that were not always positive things. And that kind of makes you think, like, how do we interact with other people from different cultures? And how can we make that experience more positive, especially in the light of healthcare as a nurse? Um, and it goes hand in hand with me traveling as well, being working in all different states from the south to the east to the west to the north. I've been bopping all over the place. I've met a lot of different people, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different experiences, cultures, languages. It's definitely made me more well-rounded and mindful of other people's cultures, and it roots right back into what we did at GCPL.
Yeah. And then do you have any, Bailey?
You guys touched on the cultural competency. I have nothing more to really add to it. We also covered part of my junior year, the differences on Medicare and Medicaid, and how that really opened my eyes to the healthcare equity problems that we're having across the country as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, I mean it's always like good experience, but that's what I love about GCPL because also on my trip when we went to Iceland, there was a huge we met with like their medical director even of the hospital nearby, like the busiest hospital.
Oh,
And that was
cool.
really exciting because yeah, for a political science group to be taking time to also be focusing on health, it also just shows this is like a preview, I think, and just in general in our conversations, but I think there is definitely a correlation and a direct relation between the health field and politics.